Welcome back to another episode of the Downsizing Roadmap podcast with your hosts, Jody Roscoe and Heather Fisher. We're talking about all things downsizing, from our own experiences with clients to guest experts. Let's make downsizing easier, one conversation at a time.
Hi, welcome to Downsizing Roadmap podcast. Oftentimes, the clients that we're dealing with their downsizing move requires, or they're at a stage where they want to go to a senior living community.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about touring those communities and, what questions to ask.
Yeah, what are we looking for?
What are we looking for?
How do we know which ones are the good ones?
Yeah. So we're going to give some tips on that today. I'm Heather Fisher.
I'm Jody Roscoe.
And let's dive in. It's an overwhelming thing.
It really is because, you just kind of look at all the places, and there's so many that have popped up, and some of them are really beautiful, actually. If you haven't been to a senior community in a long time, they're probably not what you're thinking. Heather and I go to a lot of them. We network with a lot of people. We know what the ones are in our community so that we can help the people that we're helping sell their house. And a lot of times we're like, I want to move in.
Yes. We've said that many times, like, when can we have a place here?
Yeah, you're going to do my laundry and clean and make food, and I'm going to live here and do all the activities in this beautiful place.
They're beautiful. A lot are new construction because there's such a need for more. So you get the newness feel and a lot of amenities.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea until 6 years ago when we started diving into this and started to be in so many senior living communities. My prior experience was somewhere where my grandpa was when I was like in high school.
Same.
So quite a long time ago, and not at all the feel of real living. It was just more medical at that point, and more.
It was like a nursing home, honestly.
Nursing home,
in an old way that felt very, like you said, very medical.
Yes. So I had no idea that they were so beautiful, offered so much of great opportunities for social activities and, sports and recreation and clubs and crafts and fine dining.
Right.
The senior communities
really
have
good food.
Really good chefs and food. So all of those things, to say that there's so many wonderful things, but I guess we want to talk a little bit about what else do you need to ask
because
to get past that glossy.
Right. A lot of them look really pretty, but also how are they taking care of their clients, which would be you, or your parents? How are they going to take care of them underneath the gloss of that?
Yeah.
What questions do we ask about that? And then just there's all different kinds, right? So we'll just the four kinds that we'll just say right off the bat, but then of each of these there's different kinds of those. There's ones that have like a campus that so there's independent living, so that's a hospitality model. Honestly, it's like the lowest care support, but you basically feel like you're living in a resort. Right, exactly. And you're living on your own, and you can have your car, and a lot of them have garages, and they're cottages. There's all different kinds, or perhaps they're kind of apartment like living, but it's beautiful, and there are a lot of spaces that can be used as community spaces.
Yeah, you're really the things you're gaining, maybe safety and security and a more manageable place to live in the similar sense to a condo or something. Someone else is taking care of the maintenance and the upkeep. But you're still living
very
independently. You're gaining the community of others in that same phase of life, all living there together. So the social aspects, but not a lot different than just living, in a smaller house yourself somewhere else.
And I think when you're looking at these, again, back to how we talk about, let's get dreamy in the beginning and talk about what we want our whole next path to look like. There are places that are like this that are just apartment buildings, actually. But you're just all together, with people that are in your same situation.
Yeah, 55 and up.
Yep. And so that's one kind of thought process of independent living. Another one is is a place where it will go from independent living to assisted living to, nursing, skilled care eventually. So is that a kind of a place, do you want that path, or do you want just a place that's kind of like, hey, these are all people that are in my same situation, and I'll deal with that next part later, or my
Yeah.
next path. So kind of some things to think about, because there are different options of independent living.
Absolutely.
Next one would be assisted living, where you need a little bit more daily support. You're going to get your meals. They're going to do transportation for you. Here, staff consistency matters. People that know your name and that they're going to be taking care of you a little bit more. They might be helping with medication, or helping with light things.
Your daily tasks, maybe personal hygiene, some showering or bathing help, or medication reminders,
Meals.
maybe some meals, housekeeping, different menu of services, honestly, in most places.
Yeah.
We'll talk about those questions to ask, but that's a broad term that covers, whole different levels of how much assistance you're getting with that assisted living.
And then as we're talking about these things, of course, everyone costs a little more because you're getting more care. So,
Yes, absolutely.
and then the other two are memory care and skilled nursing. So if you get to a place where you can't do certain things for yourself, you may need to have skilled nursing. And usually those are more medical based too. Like you're going to have.
You usually get to that place on a doctor's recommendation. You're not really choosing that. You
Correct.
are at that place where
You can't get up by yourself and go to the restroom, or you can't, do certain things might move you into skilled nursing. And then memory care is obviously if there's a cognitive situation.
Yeah, and those are can run the whole gamut. Memory care, as far as how much assistance you're getting, but the environment is set up to deal with progression of dementia or Alzheimer's or any other memory care issue you're having. So there's more safety built in for not being able to roam, and
Right.
What level do you need as that progresses?
So when you're looking, first is, what am I looking for? Am I just looking for an active community that doesn't have that path to, whatever that looks like later? Do you want something that does, and you can start there, but that you're going to move as you move along? And so they're all pretty. Most of them are pretty.
Yeah.
So then what are we looking at underneath? So I think that staffing, the number of staffing, how many people are actually there, and what their titles are they aides, are they nurses, are they doctor, what is it that's there is important. I think those are some things that you need to ask, especially if you are especially if it's not independent living, especially if it is any of the next three: assisted living, skilled care, memory care.
Yeah, and how, if you're touring during the week, what does it look like nights and weekends there? What do those staffing levels change? If you are looking for true assisted care for yourself or your loved ones, you just want to have that peace of mind that someone is readily available for
Right.
those needs.
In a minute, we'll talk about questions you should be asking. So we're just going to talk about things that the website will tell you is oh, we have a beautiful this and that, and here's our beautiful dining room and whatever. They won't actually give you actual apartment sizes. Sometimes they'll give you the floor plan, but rarely is it this is how many feet this is. So it's hard to tell the scale. So you're going to want to go and look at that scale. And is there a place where your queen bed fits, or will you king bed fit in there, or nope, you got to have a queen or a full that fits in there, and all of the things to make sure that whatever you're envisioning is actually going to be what it looks like.
Yeah, it's hard to go from paper to an actual space without those measurements.
Without going to
and-
see it.
Yeah.
So we're advocates of really early on, if this is something that you think you want to do, go visit them, go
Yeah.
tour them, go see what's out there, see what sizes the apartments are, decide if that's something that you want to, live in, just kind of, and if we've talked about this before, you want to do this for rehab too, just in case something happens. We're going to cross our fingers that nothing happens to any of us ever, but life happens. And so if you have some kind of a medical event where you need to go to rehab, when you're at the hospital, they're going to be like, you are looking great. We're going to send you to rehab now. You have an hour to figure out where to go. And here's a list of rehab places. And if you haven't gone and done any touring or looked at anything, you're going to freak out, and your family's going to freak out because you don't know in an hour which ones are the good ones and which ones aren't. So it's worthwhile to take some time, even if this isn't going to be your final residence, but to take some time to at least figure out where you would want to go for a good rehab experience.
Yeah, I think we can't say that enough, both for rehab and for these future decisions. The more ahead of the need that you're taking these tours, and when it's time for a final decision, if you're switching, your living place, you would of course go back and retour and make sure things haven't changed. But just to see what's out there and what we're talking about. We went through this with my dad, both for rehab and when he needed to go to a more skilled care, where in both instances we were choosing where he went, within hours or within, 24-hour to 48-hour period.
So stressful.
And it's very stressful, and you don't have time to go physically tour all those places. If it's for yourself, you're in the hospital for a reason, and you're certainly can't go tour.
Yeah.
And so all you have to rely on at that point is the glossiness of a website and the information and maybe a phone call. And it's just stress you don't need if you can do it early and just have a few options in mind.
Other things that the website doesn't show you are, how loud is it there? What is that? What is the feeling of it? How does it smell?
Yeah.
What is the resident engagement? Do they have a lot of things that they're doing there, or does it feel kind of stagnant there? Like what is
Are
it?
the residents happy and engaged?
Does the staff seem like they're rushing around because they just don't have enough time to do anything, or they're like, hey Susie, how you doing? Are they talking to the people? Are they knowing them by name? Do they feel present? What does that look like on a day-to-day basis? Because they're going to show you glossy pictures on the website of like fun things that are happening.
Yeah, absolutely. But another thing to consider is hidden fees and add-ons. This can get very confusing.
Mm-hmm.
So the more time you have to kind of lay out and comparison shop and comparison of, what your needs are, what benefits you might have, and how you're going to make it all work, it just takes that stress out if you give yourself time. That starting at number, you can't compare just apples to apples, place to place, without really digging in. What pieces do you need to add on? Is it all encompassing for one number, and maybe one doesn't include meals yet, and that's additional, or laundry service, or transportation? There's just a whole gamut of things that may be included, may be extra, or might not be available at all.
Right.
And coming up with that equation of what fits your needs and your budget takes a little bit of time to weigh those costs.
And if there's a second person moving in, what does that cost? So something to think about there. So when you go on the tour, you're going to see the cleanest model apartment, the prettiest one, with really fancy furniture and artwork and all the things.
Yeah.
They're going to introduce you, if they introduce you to any resident, they're going to be the funnest, most enthusiastic,
The advocates.
Yes. Yeah. Staff who are prepped for you and ready for your, introduction and the busy events on the calendar. What you should kind of be looking for is, what is the staff that's not showing you the
what's
tour.
Happening in the background.
Yeah, what's happening in the background? What are they doing? Are they looking rushed around, or are they looking like they have it under control? When are there things that are happening? Calls that are happening, or how are they responding to it? Do the aides seem to know their residents by name? Like what's happening in the background?
Yeah, absolutely. What's peek down the halls you're not walking down and just take a look.
Are the halls lined with things, or is it clean? Like, does it seem organized? Yeah. Are the communal spaces feeling clean and used, in a good way? Are they feeling cluttered with things? What does that look like?
Yeah, and are people utilizing them? Is that a friendly, you could have a beautiful lobby space or sitting area space or cozy den, but if it still feels lonely because it doesn't seem like anyone is plugged in and using that and enjoying that, is that the right space that you want?
Yeah. So as you're planning this or thinking about this, so we'll give you kind of some ideas of cost around it, but you need to look at that specifically for your area and for the level of care that you might think that you need or might need in the future. But I think that it's sometimes people really get sticker shock if they haven't looked at this at all and to realize how much it's costing. So we're just going to give you some really broad thought process, like independent living can be anywhere from $2,200 to $4,000 a month without care, right? So that's
Yeah.
independent living without care, but in a community. Assisted living could be anywhere from $4,000 to $6,500 a month, and we're talking per person.
Yeah.
So, if you've sent your kids to college and you're used to the dorm thing, it's like that, only on steroids. So
Well, I think so many people in this phase in life may have been in their homes for a very long time, and so their mortgage has been paid off for a while.
Yeah.
And when they got their mortgage, the cost of living was so different.
Yeah.
And so even their mortgage payment that they don't have anymore was much
Low.
less than these numbers. And it really is something you need to plan for and think about if this is, the path that you're looking to take.
Yep. Memory care, we're talking somewhere between $6,000 and $9,000 a month. And skilled nursing care can be anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 a month. So really crazy numbers can happen. And some things to think about on top of that, is there going to be rate increases? What kind of rate increases are there going to be yearly? If the level of care changes, like, okay, we go somewhere, it has different levels of care, we're going in as independent, if in a couple years we have to switch to assisted, what is that price change going to be? What's that going to look like? What if one of us needs to and one of us doesn't? What does that look like? So there's a lot of questions to ask, and it's not necessarily bad, and you may have all the funds to do it, but you still need to know that the path and the questions need to be answered.
Yeah, and I think one thing we've learned from, some of our friends and vendor partners that we've known over the years is that, people's first instinct might be, well, I'll just stay at home and I'll have someone take care of me at home. But understanding and comparing, if you're just feeling unsure what that right path is, those costs, because if you're to a point where you need 24-hour in-home health care, that's the most expensive.
Right. Beyond anything that we're talking
these. So just be careful not to bury your head in the sand and just know your options and consider them and know what's coming and how you might want to handle it.
Yeah. And so the other thing is there are other companies that will give you some level of care that aren't necessarily part of the community. So let's say you're in independent living and you just need some help with certain things, maybe you need some help with cleaning or you need some help with certain things. There are companies who do non-home health care. Where
non-skilled, so non-medical.
Non-skilled healthcare. So they will help you pay your bills, or they might help you, do things around the house that aren't necessarily skilled nursing care. There is also skilled nursing care that will come in. So you don't necessarily have to get it all from your community. You could stay in the community, stay in your independent living with your spouse who is still independent. And so there's all kinds of ways that you can handle it. And there are all kinds of companies out there that can help you handle it, which is stuff that I didn't know before I got into this. I didn't know how many different companies there were that helped with skilled care and helped with non-skilled care and all of that. But you definitely can get help in all different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one thing that's really important to dig into is that timeline. Is there a wait list on the place that you choose? Here in our area, there are several communities that we know of that the waiting list is
Years,
2 to 5 to 7 years. I mean,
depending on which part you're waiting for.
yeah, depending on what you're waiting for. In within each community, there's the different levels of care, and then there's different floor plans often. Do you need, you want an independent place that has 3 bedrooms versus 2, and so what are you waiting for? And if that's the most popular choice, those lists can be very long. So back to starting early and, getting yourself on a list. And
Sometimes it's a little bit of a deposit. And, if it's $500 and you don't end up going there, I'm just kind of like, put yourself on the list anyways, because a couple years will go by very, very quickly. And usually, not all of them, but usually if you get to the top of the list and you say, oh, I'm not quite ready, then you can have the next one. Find out what that is. Find out if you're going back to the bottom of the list. Again, those, that wait list stuff is actually really, important to figure out what the rules are.
Ask those questions. What does the wait list look like? How does it work if I'm not ready when you call me? How does it work if, here's my top choice, but will you let me know if my second choice is available and I can consider it at that time? I mean, they're done differently at every place, so just be aware of those caveats and add that to your list of questions. Like Jody mentioned, is there a deposit to get on the waiting list? But also, in addition to that, what does the deposit look like to move in? Is it just a month to month with no deposit, or is it a community where there is, a buy-in deposit, a large upfront, and not a right or a wrong answer. There's just so many different ways that they're structured. Make sure you have a clear understanding. And with those deposits, again, what if you change your mind? What if you move there and it's not the right fit, or your family moves to another state and you want to follow? So many reasons. What happens if I move in and I change my mind and want to go?
And even if you move in, let's say you move into one wasn't your first choice because that's what was available, and you want to move, one that is your first choice comes available, is there a cost to move from one to another inside of the community? There's just make sure you're asking all the cost questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that timing of what does that look like, especially, from our perspective, when you have us or a trusted realtor helping, if there's a home sale involved, how do those two timelines work together? Is your real estate agent and the community on board? Does it work financially for you to move first and get settled and then sell the house? Or do you need the funds from selling the house to apply? What's that timeline for when a deposit is due? Do they give you any kind of a window to sell the house, or do you have to do that before? When we're meeting with our clients, those are the questions we're asking, you, and you can ask those questions up front so that timeline just works out for all of the pieces of the puzzle and doesn't leave you homeless or rushed or having showings at your house when that's difficult to deal with and you're still living there. Just how can we smooth all those edges to make it work out timeline-wise and financial?
Yeah, and if that's something you're grappling with now and you need a real estate agent who is familiar with that, reach out to us. We have real estate agents all over the country that can help you make that a smooth transition. So reach out to us at downsizingroadmap.com if that's something you need. Okay, so we're going to talk about, touring it is not a committing to it. So go tour them, right? You're not talking to what questions are we going to ask when we're there. So we're going to kind of break them up into little categories. So care and staffing questions. You're going to ask questions like, what's your aid to resident ratio? And you want them to say something like, the staffing adjusts based on the resident's needs. They're going to still be a little bit vague, but you don't want them to say things like, hey, we meet the state minimum, right? Like that's not what you want to hear. You want to hear that the staff is going to, if the residents need more, they're going to be able to adjust their staffing.
Yeah, staff turnover, asking what their staff turnover rates are. You want to hear that they have, long-term caregivers that have loved working there and have been there a long time, and consistent staffing. A red flag might be that high turnover rate. What's not working, that their employees aren't satisfied, they're leaving.
Yeah, and they might say something like, oh, well, people come and go in this business or something like that. That's not what we want to hear.
I remember when my youngest was born, I needed daycare for her, and I had not had to get daycare before, and did all the similar things and was touring places. And the one I chose was not the prettiest, not the newest, not the glossiest. But I chose it because the two ladies in the infant room where my daughter was going to be starting at, a few months old, they had both been in the infant room for 20 and 23 years.
Yeah.
And they were
Amazing,
like grandmas and
women
in there. And that calmed my mama
Yeah.
heart. And so that's the same that you want to look for. That staff that has been there long enough, they know every resident, and they know.
You hear them calling their names. You hear them talking to them that's that background thing.
Yeah, they're excited to be there and to come there every day. They're not out looking for something different because it's unsatisfactory.
Yeah. Who is on staff overnight? Now, this is more important, obviously, if you're in assisted living or, care, you need a bigger level of care. But are trained staff on site overnight? That's the answer you want it to be. If they're only on call, what is that going to look like? Now, if you're in independent living, that's a whole different thing. But, staffing and care for staffing gets more and more important the more care you need.
Yeah, and even at the independent level, some places have, I don't know, like the same way on a college campus, there'd be like security or just like that one person answering the phone if there was not even like 911 emergencies, but small emergencies, just a resource. Is that important to you? And does one place have it versus another not? And how much does that factor in?
Yeah. And then, how are they going to handle care plan changes? So if something is changing with your health, if the care plan needs to change, what are they doing? How are they going to handle that? Is that a proactive reassessment with your family involved, where they're going to, sit with the social workers and talk to you about what that looks like and talk to your family? If you're the adult kids, are you going to be part of that decision? What does that look like? Or are they going to say, hey, well, if something happens, if an incident happens, we'll look at it, right? Yeah. We don't, that's a more of a red flag. We're going to wait until, something bad happens, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so moving into the category of safety and well-being, what happens if someone has a fall?
Yeah. So what you want them to say is there's an immediate response. The family's going to be notified. We're going to figure out what happened there. Was there something, that happened? At minimum, they have to do paperwork, and, they don't even have to notify the family or anything. So you would like a better response than the minimum. Yeah. We're going to fill out the paperwork.
Yeah. And along those lines, how are medical emergencies handled? Great answers you could get would be that they have clear protocols in place and fast communication.
And that they're explaining those to you. Oh, well, this is what we do. And they have a plan.
A system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Around that. You might have your radar go off if you're just getting vague answers and you're not really feeling comfortable that there's a clear plan in place.
Yeah. And the same with safety checks. How are they? If you need safety checks, how often is that? It should be based on your need instead of just the same schedule for everyone. It's like we check you once a day, and this all depends on your level of care. You might not even need to be checked on, in the beginning. And so again, your level of care matters there. But if you're going into things that need more care, these are kind of questions that you're going to want better answers to.
Yeah.
Okay. So daily life. You're going to want to talk about what the base rate is and, how much cost, what's included in your base rate. We've talked about financials, and some will include meals, some won't include meals, some will include one meal, some will be like, hey, your meals are $12. Like whatever that is, just figure that out so when you're there and you're asking the financial questions so that you can do your financial apples to apples. If you're talking to one place, more than one place, which hopefully you are, that, hey, this place seems so much cheaper because I have to add this and this and this to it, and then they're probably similar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do residents choose meal times? So can you get meals whenever you need to, or is that like, nope, there's a certain time that meals
We have
are
lunch between 11:30 and 12:30, and if you miss that window,
Yeah. And are meals only in the dining room? Can you order meals to your room? What does that look like? What would that process be to do that? Some of them, they get a little slip,
Yeah.
they can order their meal for later, and they can pick what time it gets delivered and all kinds of things. It's a very customer service based. It's getting more and more customer service based than it used to be, more hospital like, I think.
Yeah, and if you are looking at the independent living or the assisted living, some of the communities truly fit that word of community. They have a post office and a pharmacy and the hair salon and, a cafe where you can go order things at any time of day when you want something or need something, and just different varieties of small stores and services.
Yeah, there's all kinds of
built
stuff
right in. So looking, really taking some time to think about which ones truly make your life better and you would utilize, and others that might not fit that. And is that adding on to your cost just because they have those services?
Yeah. Transportation too. I would ask about transportation. Do they have transportation for you? What does that look like? Is it a car that will drive you to your doctor's appointments? Is it a bus that everybody just goes on and does?
Go at the time they say.
Yeah. That bus could take you whenever you want. What is it, and what kind of things do they do? What kind of transportation will they?
How far do they go? Yeah.
Yeah, some will take you to every doctor's appointment. Some will just, everybody's going to go to the grocery store right now. There's all kinds of different things. So just know what the answer is and what those look like. What does a typical Tuesday look like? What are there activities? What's happening? Do you get to choose, different things that you can do? I would just want to know what was happening.
Yeah. Not only getting a feel for that when you're there and seeing what's going on, but asking for their calendar of events. What do they routinely have going on, and are those things that interest you and that you would want to join? And you're like, oh, this looks really fun. Some places we've been to, like happy hours on Fridays and wine tastings and,
Mahjong and
pickleball
bridge
and all,
so many things.
All the things. So do those things align with what you like to do to fill your schedule?
And that's something that I will say too, that I don't know that everybody knows how social some of these places can be. And I think sometimes if you don't start early to look at it, you end up going in a time frame that you miss all that social stuff. Like you don't go and get to actually enjoy the community, because by the time that you go or you get on the list and you get in or whatever that looks like, you've passed that part. And I think that part is the best part of having friends and, being part of the community. And you don't have to if you don't want to, but it is there. So it's not like every day you have to do everything that's on the, calendar, but there are opportunities to do it. And so if this is a plan that you think, hey, I think this would be good for me or me and my spouse, then this plan you should do earlier than a lot of people end up doing, because then you just don't get to enjoy that part of it. And there's a big
so
part
much
of it.
Fulfillment.
Yeah. So quality and culture. What makes the difference in this community? What's different in this community than in other communities? And they'll tell you. And some of them are whole campuses, and some are just apartments. And there's definitely differences in these.
I think when you've toured 2, 3, 4, you start to feel those. We've had clients that have we've talked to them multiple times, like, I don't know if it's right for me. I don't know if I'm ready. And then they tour the place that is their place, and it's just a feeling.
Yeah.
But I think it's harder to get that feeling if it's the only one you've been in. You don't trust it. But if you've toured a couple, you're just like, yep.
Yeah.
I can see this is my next home.
And you want to make sure that they are relationship and care focused on top of amenities. They can have amenities, and if that's something you're looking for, especially, like, yes, they need that. But you don't want them to only amenity focus and not really off that, like, underneath level of care.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Your family expectations, if at all possible, if you've got adult children or other people in your life, are they able to go with you and ask their own questions or hear the answers to the questions you ask and be that sounding board, so that you end up somewhere that they're on board with as well, and feel great about you living there too?
Yeah. So, what are they doing to keep residents with different abilities engaged? Is there just one level of things, or is there different levels of things? A lot of them have exercise classes, and some of them have from your chair, and some of them have, yoga and different things. And, are there a variety of things there to do? And if you're having a tough day, who notices that, and what happens if you're having a tough day? Do they have a system around that, making sure you're getting out a little bit, or, meeting with people or whatever, getting your food, eating your meals, making sure that things are going okay.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
it can be sometimes it can be, even if it's something that you really want to do, something new is different.
Change is hard.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not even just hard. It's just acknowledging that it's different, and that it's, your habits are going to turn into different things, and all of those, there's just going to be different ways that your days look, and it's going to take a little time period to get yourself used to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you're going through and asking, coming up with that list of questions before you go, so you can ask the same questions at different places and, kind of compare those answers. And, hopefully we've given you some indications of some things that might be a little bit of red flags or things to investigate further. And, what are great answers that you would hope to hear. And then you can, just map out that pros and cons list, and hopefully that makes it easier to decide. There are lots of people, as we go back to like that dream team that can help you through downsizing. There are lots of people that their job is, a placement coordinator, that if you're struggling and you're like, I hear you, Heather and Jody,
This is so overwhelming.
This is so overwhelming, and they're telling me facts and numbers and I don't understand. There are amazing resources of people that can ask those questions and take the tours with you and help you understand the nuances and the answers that you're getting. So
and the level of care that's underneath, because they know that.
Yeah. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by that, please reach out to us. We can connect you with those resources as well.
Most of the time, those resources actually aren't a cost to you even.
Yeah, absolutely. They're amazing people all over the country doing that, and we have that network to connect you with. And if you're at that stage where touring and maybe making that move this year is what you're thinking, and you're just starting to ask those questions, reach out to us as well for that real estate piece and how it fits in with the rest of it. And we can help answer those questions or connect you with someone local in your area.
And the bigger path of what you want to do and what time frames that looks like, and just kind of come up with a bigger plan.
Yeah, absolutely. We would love to connect with you on that. Our website, downsizingroadmap.com, is the best place to reach out to us. And we look forward to coming back next week with more information and another episode.
Yeah, I would just say this can be really fun. They'll give you lunch. You can go, and they're beautiful places. So don't be daunted by it. Just start.
Yeah, awesome.
Yep. All right. Talk to you next time.
Thanks for joining us on the Downsizing Roadmap podcast. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who might need a little downsizing inspiration. Have questions or ideas for future episodes? Reach out to us on our website, www.downsizingroadmap.com. Until next time, let's keep simplifying and moving forward.